Week 1, and the very first lecture will be on the balance scorecard. That is something that probably first time when you face the balance scorecard was with Introduction Managerial Accounting, and that's usually in chapter, I believe chapter 11, when we're talking about the performance management and evaluation of the management performance. That's the first time that probably you experience the balance scorecard and you saw the balance scorecard. Now, this time we're going to start with the balance scorecard. Why the balance scorecard is important? Because the balance scorecard simply give you an idea how the management translate the strategy into the performance measures that everybody in the organizations, not only the employee, but everybody can understand and accept. So it's one thing to understand something, the other thing is to accept something, but let's see, those both are equal. So once you management translate the strategy into the performance measures, employee will going to understand and accept it, and not only the employee, but any, let's call it stakeholders, which are related to the company is going to understand that. Now, what is the strategy then? Because this is the strategy, this balance scorecard, we're going to translate the strategy. Now, the question is, what is strategy? Now, the strategy, for the strategy, I'm going to use something different right now, and which is going back to the intro-managerial accounting. For those of you who still remember that one, I'm just going to pull one slide from that intro-managerial accounting, so you can actually get a sense and understand, going back to that managerial accounting, the very, very, very first course. I'm not sure if we have a chance to take it with me or with somebody else. That's not that important at this point. But let me find the appropriate slides, which exactly I'm looking for. Take me a little bit more time to find it, but I'm gonna find it eventually, where exactly it goes. Trying to find the exact definition of the strategy, because the definition of the strategy which is presented on that slides is very powerful, and I want you to feel that power for that from that definition. Now, I found it. So the strategy, and this is so far, this is the most powerful definition that I'm finding from the strategy. The strategy simply is a game plan which enable you or the company or anyone to attract customers by distinguishing itself from the other competitors. So you can see how powerful it is. So we have so many things, interesting things first. First is give you a chance to attract the customers. The question is, why do I need to attract the customers? Well, in order to generate profit, you need sales. Those sales, they're not going to come from anywhere else. They're going to come from the customers. So you need those customers, because if you don't have the customers, there'll be no sales. Now, how I'm going to attract those customers? By distinguish myself. So those customers have to see me, they also evaluate me, and they find out that I'm something different than what? Than everybody else. From all the other competitors, I'm the best, or I'm the most unique, or I'm the one who the customer deserves. So this is simply the strategy. Now, what kind of options for the strategy you have? That's a different story. But the three main options for the strategy, you can go with the customer intimacy strategy. We can go with the operational excellence strategy or product leadership strategy. Now, those are a little bit more extensive. Then we're going to limit it only to two, and I'm going to tell you which one are the two. But we have those available options. Now, which strategy you're going to choose to differentiate yourself or distinguish yourself from the other competitors in order to attract the customers? It will be based on your company. It will be based on your understanding of the business, based on the objectives that you have. So for that reason, the first thing that comes in the managerial accounting, if you still remember, is every managers, including yourself, we have to do some activities. Which are those activities? We have to start with the planning. We start with directing, motivating. We start to controlling. We have to start with the decision making. Why do we need those ones? Why do I need to plan for? Why do we need to direct and motivating ourselves or our employee or our the people that we're working with? Why do we need to control them? Simply because we have objectives. We have a goal. If we don't have a goal, then nothing makes sense. So that's why in your introduction, I want you to tell me what's your goal. By defining your goal, then you can start planning for that goal. Then you can start directly and motivate yourself for the only one reason, you to achieve your goal. You can start controlling yourself. Once you have a plan, you can start controlling yourself by simply measuring where I am compared where I'm supposed to be. And that's how you're going to control yourself in order, again, to achieve your goal. Not just because you want to control something. And then you're going to start making decisions. But everything to achieve your goal, all the planning, all the directing, motivating, all the controlling, in order that one to be successful and to give you a chance to achieve your goal, you have to have a strategy. Now, what will be the strategy? One of the possible strategies is to understand and respond to the individual customer needs. So what you don't have to get intimate with the customers, but technically, yes, you have to get intimate with the customers. Perfect example of this strategy will be your favorite searching engine, Google. Because believe it or not, Google knows everything about us. They know absolutely everything that can be found, can be learned, can be understand about each of us. How? By collecting data from us every single minute. Question for you. Is there any one of you who right now, right at this moment, is not logged in his Google account, either through his computer, either through his cell phone, either through other devices that you may have? Because now every time when you go to the internet on your computer or in your phone, the Google automatically tells you, hey, log to your account because I'm going to make it super easy for you so I can remember all your passwords everything that you need to know, so you don't have to have this go through this uncomfortable time that you have to log every time from your computer or from your device. For that reason, just stay logged in your account, and it's going to make your life easier. So what they're doing is they're collecting, understanding, and respond to our individual customer needs. That's why when you open your email, on the left side, you're seeing on the right side actually, you're seeing all the promotions from what you was searching on your cell phone 2 days ago. That's their strategy. That's how they differentiate from everybody else. By collecting information from every single of us, using that information to attract us as a customer. Are they successful? I don't know. You tell me. I usually don't buy whatever they're saying, but some people are doing it. The other option is you to become an operational excellent, to choose the operational excellence strategy, which is some kind of cost leadership. Now, don't get me wrong here. Each of this strategy is going to bring you to money. Each of those strategies is going to bring you to generating profit and generating revenue. So, sorry, I have interrupted that student, but I don't think he was telling anything about the operational excellence strategy. So what is the interesting with that strategy? You become super efficient on the cost side. You are faster, convenient, better than the other one, and you're providing everything on lower price. So imagine this. We go into the job interview. You have you're seeing in the job interview, you're seeing that there's one strategy will be, let's go with the customer intimacy strategy. There was one commercial. I don't know if you watch TV, but there was I still remember there was this commercial a few months or probably last year, something like that. I can't remember exactly the time period, but the commercial was for the Gillette. Now, it was very interesting idea. The interesting idea was in the office, in front of the boss room. There's couches, and there's sitting people waiting for the interview, for the job interview with the boss. And everybody's nervous. Are they going to get the interview? What's going to happen? And there was this guy who coming there. He looked on the wall. He's seeing something. Then he jumped out of the room, grabbed the Gillette, shave his head. And when he times go, he goes into the room and he get the job. How he get the job? By using the customer intimacy strategy. Now the question is what he saw on the wall. On the wall, there was a portrait of the owner who happened to be with the shaved head. And that was actually a very smart move, because you can actually see that application of the customer intimacy strategy right there and use for the commercial. Which commercial, again, is to attract your attention, so to differentiate the Gillette from everybody else in order you to buy the Gillette. That's the whole purpose of the commercial. That's the whole purpose of everything that we're doing is we to differentiate ourselves from everybody else in order to win that customer. Now, in that commercial, the person get the job. On the commercial side, Gillette, obviously, it's going to do the job for you and you can get the job. So that's how the Gillette differentiates itself with everybody else. Now, the other one will be the excellence strategy. Now, let's go with that job interview. I'm going to give you an example for that one. That will be, imagine this. You're going to the job interview. There are 100 people. Everybody is interviewed. And your turn is coming. Your turn, you're going there. At the end of the interview, you're saying the person, listen this. Whatever the other people tell you and whatever you're looking for on the job description, I can do it 3 times better than everybody else. I have all the qualification, I have all the skills, I have all the experience that you need to do this job. I know I can do it better. You don't know yet because you haven't hired me yet, but I know I can do it. The other thing is, if you, I saw what will be the approximate remuneration. I can do it for $5,000 less. That will be your operational strategy, excellence strategy. So you get the job, but you're better, and because you're better and more efficient, you may be able to save more money with the lower salary that you're going to get. Now, the last one is the product leadership strategy, which I'm biased on all the strategy, and I personally prefer the product leadership strategy. The product leadership strategy is very simple. You go into the job interview, they see who you are, and if the job usually pays $100,000, they offer you 150. Why? Because they don't want to lose you. Because they want you. That will be probably, again, that's my preferable strategy. Because using that strategy and living with that strategy, you don't have to worry about how the market going. Is there a crisis on the job market? Is it are we going with the recession, or are we going with devaluation? What exactly are we going? You don't worry about those things. Why? Because you have something that nobody else has. And people are willing to pay you whatever you want, even more, just to have you there. Can you do that in real life? Yes, you can. Do we have examples of that? Yes, we have. And the usual example that I'm using in this case is product leadership strategy, Louis Vuitton. Now, I don't know if you're watching the basketball lately, but if you have watched basketball lately, especially the after the game interview with LeBron James. Now, LeBron James is wearing a shirt, Louis Vuitton. Now, is this a commercial trick, or he just wearing the Louis Vuitton? I don't know. Is Louis Vuitton actually pay him to wear that shirt on the post-game interviews? I don't know, but it works. So what I'm chasing exceptional person who creates the exceptional value for me, so I can charge whatever I want for my customer. So you want to be a LeBron James, you want to wear Louis Vuitton, well, we have to pay. But it's too expensive. Well, I'm not for everybody. And don't forget, LeBron James is the leading scorer. But technically, he can easily be labeled living legend in NBA, who actually is active and playing. That's adding even more value on Louis Vuitton. The other thing that you can use for this product leadership, that will be Chanel. Why? Because have you ever heard that Chanel have a Christmas sale? Have you ever heard about the seasonal sale of Chanel? Well, you're never gonna hear anything like that. Why? Because it's it's not for sale. They perfectly living on the regular prices. You want to have Chanel, you have to pay me. I'm sorry. Why? Because I'm exceptional product. I offer the higher quality than everybody else on the market. You want something else? Well, no problem. Go and buy something else. But the quality is not going to be there. That's why you're seeing the other bag producer, they try to copy Chanel and do whatever Chanel doing in order to stay competitive, in order to achieve something. Those with the strategy. So now let's go back to the balance scorecard. So I want to spend a little bit more time on the strategy so you can understand what we're trying to achieve with the balance scorecard. Now with the balance scorecard, what we're going to do is, now everything that we talk about the strategy, I have to use those 4 performance measures in order to translate my strategy and make it understandable and acceptable for my employee. Which are the options that I have here? I have financial performance measure, customer performance measure, internal business process, and learning and growth. How can I use those ones? Now, the simple thing is financial. I'm going to give you a very simple example on the personal level. Imagine this. On Friday, this Friday, I believe is the payroll day. On the Friday, what you're getting is you're getting a payroll, right? You're checking your bank account. That's your financial measure. That's your financial performance. Sorry, financial perspective in this case, financial perspective. So you're checking your bank account and you expect the employer to pay you something. Now you have 2 options here. You're going to check, you're going to see your bank account and you have 2 options. Option 1, you like what you see. If you like what you see, then you don't have to do anything. But the second option is you don't like what you see. So what should I do? Well, let's go to the next perspective. Who pays the salary? In this case, from where the money comes from that you don't like? From the customer. So what I have to find out, why the customer doesn't pay me? Why the customer doesn't choose me as a favorable, so he can shop more, buy more from me? Why he pay me less? And then you start looking for the customers, what the customer needs, what the customer wants, what makes the customer happy. Because at the end of the day, what I want you to realize that whatever you get, or whatever we get, whatever resources we get, it comes from the customer. Now we can call it employer, we can call it a simple random person who walking in your shop. It doesn't matter how we're going to call it. It's just simply customer. So you understand what the customer wants. Then we're going to the next perspective. So currently, whatever I'm doing, it doesn't work for my customer. He's not happy. Otherwise, if the customer is happy, once I see my financial, I'll be super happy. But I'm not. So something is wrong with my customer. So customer is not happy because of this and this and this. Then the question is, what I'm doing wrong? Then you're going to the internal business process, a perspective, and try to chase, is there anything that I'm doing wrong? And is there anything that I can improve in my process in order to make something better, which is going to make my customer happier? And next time when I check my bank account, I'm going to see something that I actually like. So how can we improve our internal process with the learning and growth? From where you're going to learn? Well, you have a good starting point right now. Some of you, maybe for that reason, you're in the classroom. Some of you, You're just in the classroom just because you want something more. If you didn't want more, you won't be in the classroom. If you didn't want something more than what you have, you won't be in this classroom. So what is your objective then? Learn and grow, people. But not randomly learn and grow. Learn and grow to improve your internal process, which is going to help you to have more value to your customers, which most likely will be your employer. Or if you open your own business, that will be everybody else. Because those people are going to choose you because you're something more than, or whatever you, now based on your strategy. Now here we can implement the strategies that you want from the learning and growth, starting with the learning and growth. If you want to implement the value leadership strategy, start with learning and growth. What I have to learn in order to implement that strategy and start to be exceptional. What in my internal process I have to improve in order for my product to be exceptional. So when it comes to the hands on the customer, he to see, oh my God, this is amazing. I want this. What's the cost? I don't care. I'm gonna pay whatever I have to pay. I just want it. End of the story. Or you can go with the cost leadership. Then you're producing something which is again exceptional, but you're saving on the costs, or you're better on the cost management. And that's how you can put all the perspective in place. What's the objective here? Objective again is you to reach your goal by using the appropriate strategy, which strategy is translated and communicated to your employees so people can actually understand what they're doing. In this company, I'm working for these values. So if you want to be part of my company, you have to possess those and those and those values. Yes, I'm going to provide learning and training for you to achieve those values. But if you're planning to rely on your own skills, old skills, without improving anything in the short term, that's not going to work for me, because that's not going to keep my customers happy. So in order you to stay in my company, you have to do this and this and this. So for that reason, the other thing that you can do with the balance scorecard is you can use the balance scorecard as a good, what will be that? What is the word that I'm looking here? As a good justification for your salary increase. Again, you're not chasing the financial. Don't get me wrong. Nobody likes when somebody comes and say, pay me more. You're not going to pay more. Or I don't like what I'm getting. You have to increase my salary. I'm not going to give you increase my salary if that's the way you're asking me. Make me believe that you're actually making money for me. Can you do that? By using the balance scorecard. Simply by using the balance scorecard. I understand. So what you can start is, I understand the value of our company. I understand the value of the customers. So for the last year, I have been learning and understanding the business process. So I learned this and this and this and this and this. That helped me to become a this and this and this and this. So currently I'm taking this job and this job and this job. I'm performing better on this one. I'm performing better on this and performing that. Because of that, I'm able to reach more customers. Customers coming to me, and most of the customers now prefer to work with me, not with the other people. And that is definitely in your benefit. And I strongly believe for everything that I'm doing, for the company and for our customers. Now you're putting our customers, not your customers, our customers. Now you're showing that you're part of the company. You're not doing this for yourself. You're doing this for the company and for the company's success. I strongly believe that small increase of $10 per hour is going to do the job for me. I deserve that one because the value that I'm bringing to the company is way more than I'm asking for. Again, you're not focused on the focus here is not on what you want, is the focus is what you give. And if you want $5 increase, ask for 8. So when they give you, no, I cannot give you $8, but I'm going to give you $5 increase, and you get what you want. By simply using the balance scorecard to communicate and justify the value that you're creating for your customer by distinguishing yourself from everybody else. Again, the customer is going to pay only for the product which actually give him a benefit. Put yourself in the position of the customer. If you're the customer, would you pay $100 for something that actually worth 50? Well, everybody gonna look at you as a stupid. So for that reason, what you try to do is everybody is doing this cost benefit analysis. You have to understand your employer also doing cost benefit analysis. This employee is going to cost me that much. What can I get? If you give him more than what you cost, then yes, he's going to give you those money. I don't remember. I mean, I don't know if you follow sports, but I'm going to give you a simple fact, very simple fact. So a long time ago, there was this Brazilian player, Ronaldo. Before Cristiano Ronaldo, there was another player, Ronaldo. He's Brazilian. And he started Barcelona, and then he moved here, and then he signed with the Real Madrid. So when he signed with the Real Madrid on that time, that was probably 2000. That's those years, 2003 to 2001, 2002, or 99, something like that. Or maybe it was 1990. So anyway, that's not that important. But they signed for him. They have a record. They set up a record for the $80 million for 5 years contract. Everybody thought that Real Madrid are crazy. The interesting fact that nobody talked about was this. On the actual day, when the Real Madrid signed with Ronaldo, Brazilian Ronaldo, on that same day, they saw 100,000 jerseys with Ronaldo name. On that time, one jersey was worth was sell like a 50 to 80 euro. So they signing for him for 5 years for $80 million. And on the signing date, they just made, you do the math, I'm not going to do it for you. So did they make a cost benefit analysis? Definitely they did. That's what I want you to understand. I want you to see, don't always see yourself as a person who gets the money. See yourself as the person who has to pay the money. See yourself as the person who looking for the value. And once you create that value, once you prove that there's a value that the other person gets from you, then show that one. And don't worry, your salary increase is gonna come. People usually are, once they see that, they usually naturally want you to have you. Why? Because they're scared of losing you. Create that. That's another thing that you can create. Create a demand. Once you create a demand, then opportunity is there. So now let's see the balance scorecard. The balance scorecard, again, of the financial. Again, we're chasing the strategy. And how we're going to translate those strategy? Through the performance measures. So what we're going to measure in order to understand that the financial actually works. So this one will be here. Let's make it bigger. Let me see if that's going to work. Yes. Strategy. First, we have the strategy. Which strategy is executed and communicated through the mission and vision. That's what we're going to start doing with the assignment 1 and case 1. I want you to start working on the mission and vision because I want you to understand once we have the goal, once we have the objective, once we choose the strategy, how we're going to adjust the mission and vision to match our strategy, but at the same time to match our goals so we can achieve what we want and communicate with the outsiders our mission and vision. If you don't believe me, I want you to do a very simple thing for me. Walk around the corridors and on the business and commerce on the 4th floor. And pay attention, please. There are at least 4 places that you can see the mission and vision of business and commerce. Try to find those one and take a look, please. What is the mission and vision of business and commerce department in Douglas College, which you are part of? And then through the mission and vision, try to understand and try to guess what is the strategy that the department that I'm taking courses within is. What this department is focusing on. Because that strategy is related to the people who actually are involved in delivery of the courses. Because you won't be able to achieve what your mission and vision is if you don't have the material to actually perform. You won't have that material to attract the customers. Which are the customer? You're the customer. Now the question is, why are you paying this money for the course that you're taking? Because obviously the benefits that you're going to take from this course and the next course and the next course, the value that you're going to add yourself, all the learning and growth that you're going to go, the improvement that you're going to make in yourself in order tomorrow, today you are customers, but tomorrow you will be the one who's going to provide the services to the customers. And when those customers see you, they're going to say, I want that person. Why? Because he already equipped himself with the things that I want. And that's another reason why I want your strengths and weaknesses, so I can see which are your weaknesses, so we can work on your weaknesses to improve your weaknesses and to improve your internal process for only one reason, to attract more customers. So on the financial, what's the financial goal? What you're trying to achieve? And the question on the performance measure will be how we can measure that one. The other thing is on the customer perspective, what the customer do want, what kind of services they expect. That's why, as you can see, we're providing services in class, online, hybrid, any different forms of services in order to attract more customers. To make ourselves more valuable for our customers. So when you come to the customers, you can, as a customer to the college, you can say, I want this because the format work for me. The way of delivery works for me. And obviously the value that I'm getting is perfect for me because I can actually achieve something later in my life. So that's for the customer, but we have to understand, we have to ask those questions. And then we're going to adjust our mission and vision to match the customers, what the customer wants. The other thing is, what's the internal business process and what's the critical points that's going to create the value for the customers. Don't forget, the customer is that we're chasing. Customer is the one who's going to pay the money. Customer is the one that we improving the internal process in order to give the customer chance to give us more, to come and buy more from us. And how we're going to improve the key business process so that we can actually deliver more value to the customers. It's all about you as a customer. You're going, and if you buy a coffee, let's put it in the coffee. What kind of coffee you buying? The one that creates more value for yourself. Some of us is going to go with the McDonald's. Why? Because it's a cost efficient. Value versus cost, that's the best one. Some of us are going to go with Starbucks. Or some of you are going to go, I'm not going to go with Starbucks. Why I'm not going to go, that's a different story. Why I'm not going to go with Starbucks, I'm going to tell you. When I came in Canada 2003, I came in Canada May 25th, 2003. So very soon I'm going to have a anniversary, 23 years in Canada, 22 years in Canada. So when I came in Canada, I saw the Starbucks on that time. And the Starbucks wasn't presented in my country of origin, neither in Greece, neither in Romania. So I contact them and I ask, what's the options I want to open the Starbucks? And they say, you have to present a business plan with the location, or you have to have established business, which business work for more than 5 years in the country. You have to come up with cash flow statement and all the things, everything that you need to do. And you have to justify the investment, how much you're planning to invest, and you have to justify that you have enough customers on chosen location and everything. So I did that. And after that, they said me, no, we're not interested. 2 years later, Starbucks was open on the location that I told them to open. And they were doing exactly the things that I told them to do. So do I want to be a Starbucks customer? No. But that's me. That's my. But again, why are we choosing one versus another? Because we see different values. Those companies using different strategies. Those companies have a different mission and vision. Those companies going to have a different balance scorecards. But again, the whole point is we to attract the customers. So what we have to understand on the balance scorecard, we have two type of measures. We have financial and non-financial measures. Which are the most important? Well, how we should look at the balance scorecard, we should look at the point that we have our financial measure, but the financial measure comes in the beginning and comes at the end. If you remember the whole exercise that I gave you in the beginning, the example with you look in your bank account and you see the amount that you're getting. So where the whole process is going to end? When you look again in your bank account and you see something that you like. So everything starts with looking at the bank account, looking at the financial statements. You see something, there's something wrong here. Either the revenue going down, either the gross margin going down, either the profitability going down, whatever it goes down, or the cost going up. What's happened? And then you start going through the chain. If you see the less profit, from where the profit comes, from the customers, you start chasing the customers. Is there anything that I'm doing that the customer, when you find out the customer not happy, is there anything that I can do to make them better? Is there any value I can create for those people to start coming again back to me? If the answer is yes, then start working on it. Learn, grow, find new ways to deliver the services or to improve the quality of your products, get back your customers, you're gonna be back on track. So that's why first we're starting with the financial, then we're using the non-financial. Which one is more important? It's very hard to tell. It's really very hard to tell. Because all the measures, if you ask me more and more, I'm teaching this balance scorecard. more I see the benefits of the balanced scorecard, and more I see the idea behind the balanced scorecard. Yes, the idea is to communicate the strategy to communicate the strategy into our employee to understand what we're trying to achieve. But at the same time is again is about the customers. From where you're gonna get the financials. That financial is not gonna grow on the tree. It's gonna come from the customers. How many balance scorecards can have? Well, every organization can have a balance scorecard for the organization, balance scorecard for the division, balance scorecard for each employee. We as a people, as a human beings, how many balance scorecards we can have? Many. I can have one balance scorecard as an educator. I can have one balance scorecard as a husband. I can have one balance scorecard as a friend. I can have another balance scorecard as a parent. And all those will be different. Why? Because I simply have a different customers. Simple example is, imagine this. Let's pretend that we are actually in the Douglas College today. We're gonna finish the time that we finish this lecture. You're gonna have questions, so you have to stay and do some other work. And by the time I'm going home, it will be probably 11. Arrive at home, it will be 11. I'm coming home, all the lights are off. Nobody's waiting for me. There's nothing on the table. There's no dinner on the table, nothing. Now, I can treat this as my financial perspective. So what's happening now? My customer is not happy. Which balance scorecard I have to look? My balance scorecard as a husband in this case. So my customer is not happy. What do we have to do? Find out why the customer is not happy. Improve my internal process by learning and growth. Implement those improvements. Once I deliver the value for my customer, next time after the lecture at 11 o'clock I'm come, my customer is gonna wait for me. They're gonna say, the dinner is on the table. I wanna stay and we have the dinner together. That's how simple it sounds, and that's how simple it is. But I want you to actually understand it, and then you can actually use it. And that's going to help you. That's how you're going to help you to create more value for yourself in order to attract more customers. So the personal score should be content measure that can be influenced by the individual being evaluated and support the measures over a balance scorecard. So basically, on the individual level, we can use it. And also what we can do is on the individual, when we go to individual level, we can choose the measures which gonna encourage the individual to perform better, to want to be better people. The measures which are achievable, attainable, not something unrealistic, but at the same time to work in their benefits and obviously in the company benefits. Because what we're doing is for the company interest. Don't forget that. Now, how the balance scorecard should be, has to have the measures that are directly linked to the cost and effect basis. If I do this, what's going to happen? If I do that, what's going to happen? If I improve this, what's going to happen? If I learn this, how can use whatever I learn to improve my internal process? If I do that internal process, how this is going to affect my customers? If I do that with the customers, how that's going to affect me on the financial? That's your cost and effect analysis. And that balance score is going to give you the foundation and how to get the desired outcomes. So can we use the balance scorecard for the compensation? We already said that, yes, you can. Strongly suggest you is when it comes to your performance review, use the balance scorecard, get what you want. it will be very hard for your manager to, when you're using the balance scorecard, to say no. Why? Because again, you're focusing on the value that you're adding for your company and for your customer. So this will be the simple example for the balance scorecard, and the balance scorecard here starting with the learning and growth again. Let's go from the bottom to the top. We're starting with the learning and grow. And the learning and grow is we're increasing the employee skills in installing the options. If the employees are able to have the skills to install more options in our car, how that's going to help us? Well, first, once there are more skills on the options, it's going to take us less time to come up with the options. So we're more time efficient. So we're saving on the costs. With the more options, we're going to have more available options for our customers. If we improve the time of the options, that's going to increase our contribution margin. Once we increase the contribution margin, that's going to hit us directly on the profit. If we have more options available for our customers, that's going to increase the customer satisfaction. And that's going to increase the number of the cars that we're selling to our customers. How this is going to help us? Well, again, we're going to help us selling more cars. And on the profit side, we're going to see increase in our profit. So that's how we should look at the balance scorecard as a strategy. If we do something, what will be the result? Based on what we achieve, what will be the next thing, next result? And keep going until you finally reach the final goal, which obviously final goal will be you to see the actual results on the financial perspective. So again, the strategy. Now, the first assignment that we have to do is based purely on the balance scorecard. So what you have to do, you have to create the balance scorecard. So again, the strategy is the differentiating yourself from the other competitors. There's some core competencies that you have to achieve. That will be the strengths and maximizing the opportunity and the counter the threats. Then we're going to the 5 forces analysis, which 5 forces analysis, we're not going to use it for the creation of balance scorecard, but I want you to have it in mind when it comes to the selecting the strategy. Which are the 5 forces? Those are the threat of the potential entrants, which are on the business that we are. That's potential entrants that's going to come to that business. Threat of the existing competition that we already have in our business. Threat of the substitutions that can come and substitute our company. And then we have the power of the buyers and power of the suppliers. The power of the buyer, the simple example, what I can give you for the power of the buyer will be Costco. If you want to see the power of the buyer, that will be definitely Costco. Why Costco will be a perfect example to see the power of the buyer? And that's because to some extent, Costco can push the supplier and ask preferable prices for its customers. Why? Simply because Costco has a membership cards which are active members. So Costco can clearly go to the supplier and say, listen, I have that many customers which are active customers. And through giving me lower price on your product, I can guarantee you at least that many sales. So you're not making profit from the higher margin. You're making profit from lowering your margin by increasing your sales. And simple math will be when we're doing the simple math, and that math check with the numbers, and that's your power of the buyer. Power of the supplier, that's another thing. What we have to do is very simple. Limit the supplies. Create the demand. What the demand is created, then the customer is going to pay whatever you ask for. There's a very interesting examples with the suppliers. We may talk about this on the supply chain when we're talking about the supply chain. That is related to the way that supply chain works. On the supply chain, you have those meat companies which have those warehouses around, which are clearly linked between the manufacturer and the final consumer. So what they simply can do is pull out all the available inventory from the market and keep it on their warehouse for the time being until the price goes up. Because there's a very interesting, you probably you saw that one during the coronavirus when the supplies of some items was very short. That create demand, and the prices of those materials and those supplies increase. And then whoever you had that supplies in their warehouses, they're just generating the profit. Simply because they're using the power of the supplier. So the business strategy, in this now we're going to focus on the only two. Those will be the two strategy that you're going to have available for the first assignment. That will be value leadership and cost leadership. Either creating something unique and superior, either focusing on the efficiency, focusing on the improvement in eliminating the wastage, and lowering the cost. Now, this is the example of the strategy map with the key strategy map of the key successful factors. Now, the key successful factors, as you can see here, they're on the level of the balance scorecard. From the balance scorecard, we're going to put those key successful factors, which are going to help us to implement our strategy. But they're actually measuring the perspectives under financial, under customer, under the internal business process, and the learning and growth perspective. So the key successful factor in re-engineering, how those work together. Well, re-engineering simply will be readjusting our process in order to meet the needs of our customers. So the key successful factors will be different activities that happen of each of the tier of the strategy map. Are often referred as the key successful factors, which activity necessary to successful execution of the strategy. Again, we need to have the strategy. If you don't have the strategy, then what are we going to communicate it? Why don't we need what for you using the balance scorecard? Re-engineering or redesign will be fundamental rethinking or redesign of the business perspective. That may happen if we decide to change the strategy. That may decide if the environment changes and we have to react very fast. Usually the company, once they focus on their strategy, they not tend to change the strategy. Why? Because they can achieve, how can I say, success on the long term. They chasing the long-term success. And that's where you have to be successful by achieving long-term success rather than short-term success. Again, the balance scorecard translates that mission and the strategy into the set of performance measures, and we're going to that's a repetition of whatever with the 4 perspectives, and the insight is the mission and the strategy, what we chose for the company in order to achieve the goal. An explanation of each perspective. Now, for those perspectives, that explanation of the perspective plus the previous one, that's where you can use for your assignment. You to come up, because one of the part of the assignments, we're going to talk about the assignments a little bit later. I'm going to come back to these slides again. Is one of the tasks that you have to do in your assignments, assignment 1, and there's only one assignment in your assignment, is you to explain each of the perspective. What is the financial perspective, and what's the evaluates, what's the customer perspective, why do we need that customer perspective, what that evaluates. Same thing with the internal process and the learning and growth. Then you have to show on the first assignment, you have to prepare the balance scorecard. Now it's not going to look like this, but again, the balance scorecard flow chart will be always start with learning and growth. Learn and grow, put that one in practice, see how the customer responds, and see where that hit you on the financial. And then either you like it, either you don't like it. So if you don't like it, go back to the chain. What the customer wants. What can I improve to get what they want? And what do I need to learn and grow in order to improve to get the customer what they want, so I can get what I want? You're never going to get what you want unless the customer gets what they want. Because whatever you're getting is coming from the customer. Illustration of the balance scorecard. That will be one of the examples that you may use for the balance scorecard when you start preparing that, because you have to actually prepare something like this. Or you can use this model here. Now, what you have to keep in mind that the powerful balance scorecard doesn't have too many perspectives. How are we going to implement the balance scorecard? Well, we have to have a commitment and leadership from the top managers. You will actually want to improve yourself. If you don't want to improve yourself, you won't be able to implement the balance scorecard. And then once we have that support, we have to communicate that one with all the employees across the organizations, so they actually understand what we're trying to achieve, so they can be on the same page and we can work together. So the other thing that you can do is you have a goal, you have a submission to chase. Now you have to choose what will be the proper strategy for your group. And once you find this proper strategy for your group, you can communicate that group with the other team members and to see, hey, what do you think about this? Let's try to achieve this. Let's try to achieve that and see if this actually works. Which are the features of the good balance scorecard, which you can use now, those features of the balance scorecard, that will be the plus and minus of the balance scorecard. One thing that you have to understand in your cases, in your analysis, is that you have to start looking at the balance scorecard with everything that you have on hand from both perspectives. Everything that has a positive has a negative. Everything that has a benefits has a drawbacks. And you have to be able to see those, because you as an accountant have to be objective. Objectivity means you to give everything, positive and negative. So what will be the future of the good balance scorecard? Well, that will tell the story of the company strategy. If the company, and is that actually the strategy works? And that will be used that cause and effect relationship. That will going to help us to communicate the strategy to all the members of the organization by making this link between different perspectives. That will be easy to understand, and we can measure the operational targets within the organization. The other thing is we can motivate the managers to take action. Try to limit the number of the measures, no more than 3. We're going to focus on the most critical one. There always will be something more, but we're focusing on the most critical one. And then we're going to highlight less than the optimal trade-off. Then we're going to the drawbacks on the balance scorecard, which in this case are pitfalls. Now, we cannot just assume that cause and effects linkage is precise. Yes, we can anticipate it, but sometimes it just doesn't work that way. It's more like a hypothetical. If this happened, that we expect to happen. But since we're working with the customers, which are very sensitive, sometimes our sales can go down because of the wrong cover on our product, not because of the product doesn't achieve the customer needs. We just choose the wrong cover. The other thing is managers should not seek improvement across all the measures all the time. Let's start slowly, one after another. Sometimes it might not work for everything. And we should not use only objective measures. Subjective measures are also important in developing our balance scorecard. The other thing is must include both cost and the benefits. So if I do this, what will be my cost? What will be my benefit? Non-financial, obviously, we already saw that only basing our decision on financial information, that's going to be wrong. Non-financial is actually more important than the financial. If you get the non-financial and keep it for the long period of time, the financial is going to come. Not too many measures. For that reason, for your assignment, I'm going to limit you only for 3 measures for each perspective, based on the case that you have to do, which will be the delta signal. And managers tend to focus on the performance measure rather than the corporate success. And when we have the balance scorecard, managers are focused on their performance, not on the overall performance of the company. So having that in mind, you're the owner of the company. If you're the owner of the company, you have to know that. You have to know that the managers are rational people. What the company wants is not what the manager wants. For example, how many of you, probably each of you work or have been working in their life, correct? Is there anyone who haven't worked? Is there anyone who haven't worked? Or all of you have been working at some point of your life, correct? Now, if that's the case, question for you. How many of you, when you were working, wake up in the morning jump on the bed and say, what a beautiful day. Today I'm going to go and work and I'm going to make my owner of the company super rich. I'm going to give everything for myself just to make the company better and to make more money for the owner of the company. Anyone? So what that tells you? What you want is not what the company wants. And what the company wants is not what you want. Keep that in mind because at some point you might become an owner of the company. And don't wonder why the people acting not the way they're supposed to. Because their objectives are not the objective, your objective as owner of the company. You have different objectives. There's no manager, there's no owner of the company who opened his company to make the other people rich, especially his employee. If you ever heard about the company, which owner of the company opened the company to make his employee rich, please let me know so I can give it as an example in this course. But that's not the case, sadly. So that will conclude today's lecture with the balance scorecard. And it's going to open a lot of options from now on. So next time, we're going to stay online. So tomorrow will be a key day for me.